Hello and welcome to Clay to Canopy, the show where I attempt to make just about everything from the ground up. Today I am going to be working on some water tests for my vision board. So come on, let's do this. Yeah, I don't have anything that looks like vision board out. I was editing and totally realized I had not done a proper introduction. So here is my proper introduction to this vision board water test. Basically in this video, I tested out a whole bunch of ideas on what I could do to emulate water without using resin. Resin is a very typical thing you can find at your craft store these days. There's lots of resin projects popping up. But the thing with resin is it's pretty toxic to be breathing in. So I wanted to come up with some other solutions to deal with water features that did not involve resin. This video is me testing out different alternatives, some that are a little bit safer, some that claim to be safe, but then after having used it, I was kind of questioning it, like the silicone. Always use safety precautions. If you really feel like it's a fume that you shouldn't be breathing in, throw on a mask, throw on a respirator. That is why no resin. That doesn't mean that you can't use resin if you properly handle things, you know, wearing a respirator and whatnot. It's pretty gnarly stuff. And of course, so is the stained glass things that I use, but I do pop on a respirator. You know, it's a give and a take. You have to choose which ones that you are willing to sacrifice those things for. But anyhow, water feature tests for my miniature model vision board. So I have no idea if this is gonna work. This glass is super cold, so I am just trying to warm up the glass so that I don't pump this glue on top of it and it end up somehow cracking the glass. All right. What I'm hoping is that this glue is hot enough, the edges will kind of remelt. If all else fails, my next move is to pull out the heat gun and torch the surface. I would not recommend trying this technique with a small glue gun. So this is a full-size glue gun. I finally gave in and purchased a large one. It is cordless, has the option to be cordless. And I give this time to fully set. It is hazing over, so I'm not getting a crystal clear lake kind of thing happening. I am going to paint the underside of this once I peel it off. All right, my hot glue is set, so I'm going to pull this off now. And it is frosted. I'm going to be painting this anyway, so I'm okay with that. And then I have to make a decision over which side I want to paint. I don't mind the rippling, and I kind of like that this side is shiny. Yeah. This is the hot glue method, and then I ordered silicone from the internet. I got this from Amazon. You can buy silicone from the hardware store, but that silicone is gonna also have a tint to it. This stuff says it's clear. It looks clear in the container. When you pump out the other silicone, it kind of looks the same. The number one reason why I went with this one is because it has this topper to seal it, and because the other silicone, usually it's a one-shot deal, meaning once you open it up and use it, you're kind of gotta use the whole thing. Because I've never been able to successfully like save the top and it actually work again. It usually hardens in the tube. I got this stuff. It says it sets in an hour. I don't know. We're going to try it out and see. Pretty much everything I'm doing here is experimenting with some alternative techniques. I forgot to mention the glass. You can pick up sheets of glass at the hardware store. I'm just going to pump this into a puddle. I got the idea of using silicone because I was in the beauty section at Dollar Tree. I saw these silicone things that they're using for sponges. Not that I do any shopping in the beauty section, but the line happened to go down the aisle of the beauty section. I looked over and saw these silicone bits, and I asked Sarah what the hell they were used for, and she's like, oh, they use them in place of sponges. It was a great idea, but it was just too small for my needs. It was already tinted and colored a blue. You can purchase already pre-made ponds at the craft store. You're not going to be saving much. You will have a lot more freedom to make the size that you want. I'm going to let this set. It claims sets in an hour. This silicone did stay clear, but it bubbled like crazy. I don't know what the heck happened here. And it thinned out. I'm going to try this silicone again. Ooh. And it doesn't come off clean at all either. Interesting. Well, if you don't mind the bubbling, you totally could paint this up. I'm going to try one other thing though. I'm going to build a collar out of some cardboard, tape it up. Hopefully the silicone won't stick. If that works, then it might help contain the silicone from spreading too thin. And if not, then this one will be a bust. The other option I think might be, and I might as well do this test now, is to carve out a well out of some floral foam, paint it up, and then pump the silicone into that so it's kind of like a contained well. Let's get this warming up. And I must say, I am loving my cordless hot glue gun. For those of you who have watched my struggles with my mini glue gun that I got from the craft store, the crappy one that I keep complaining about, I have upgraded to this awesome cordless hot glue gun, and I am loving it. So again, as I'm not cutting all the way through, I'm just cutting through that top layer, and this is going to give me some bend. While that continues to heat up, let's grab some of that floral foam and start carving. I picked up another one of these a couple years ago. I was standing in the checkout at Michael's. Halloween stuff was out, so it's probably July, right? Anyway, so they had these electric pumpkin carvers for carving foam and regular pumpkins, and it was $9.99 regular price. I used it to make a wreath that year, and it worked out really great. So this past year, I picked up another one. I'm going to use this to cut this foam in half, and if you don't have one of these, you need one. Let me just sketch something out. What my original plan was, make a foam well and then cut some acrylic that sits inside this area. I'm gonna go hit this with some spray paint. I'm gonna just take this acrylic sheet, lay it over this area, and eyeball something that will fit here. This is acrylic you can get probably at the hobby store, but you most definitely can get it at Home Depot. Acrylic that's used for replacing window. You can use a coping saw to do this. Let me grab one. So this is a coping saw frame. It's very similar to if scroll saw. Come on now. Why does everything have to be so impossible today? You want to orient your blade in the direction of what is comfortable to you as far as the cutter goes. So for me, I prefer to cut on the pull. So I want to make sure that my teeth are going to be in the direction where that when I do the pull, it's going to do the cutting. Whatever direction they're pointing in is the direction that the cut will happen. I feel like my life is one of those days. Constantly keep saying it's one of those days, and then here we are on another one of those days. Opening up the little screw here, tighten, and I want to hear a musical note. No note, but thud. I'm going to adjust this. More of a note. Safety glasses on. You can go ahead and use this to do your cutting. It will be a very slow going process, but the cutting is happening. I don't have time for that, so I'm going over to the bandsaw and we're going to cut it there. Slow and steady wins the race when it comes to dealing with acrylic. You don't want to go pushing it through the bandsaw too quickly, or you're going to get some chipping and breaking. That looks like it'll be okay. You can apply some stuff, some stones, make it look like lake-looking bottom or pond-looking bottom, whatever water feature you're creating here. So you can go ahead and glue it in with super glue. Let's pump this bad boy full of some silicone. Alright, set this aside, and hopefully this will cure okay. We shall see. Alright, before we get gluing, I'm going to take my strip of cardboard and throw on some clear packing tape. This clear packing tape should, in theory, work as a resist to the silicone, similar to the glass. I don't know, we shall see. This silicone brand is acting a little bit more like the clear Elmer's glue than it is acting like silicone. And I bought the Elmer's school glue that comes in clear to clear gel, thinking I would test this out with that, and it did similar results to this. What you end up seeing in a gallery or in a finished work, wherever you do see it, the end result always looks like, oh, bam, it just whacked together and it's done. But there's a whole lot of process going on, a whole lot of testing, trial and error that happens. And one of the things I wanted to try and capture in doing these videos is that process. Anyhow, enough waffle. I'm gonna go ahead and apply some hot glue, and we're gonna get this stuck onto this glass. So I'm gonna come around the back end and seal the bottom on the outside. Alrighty, I have this bean-shaped thing, and I'm gonna fill it with some silicone. I got about 1/8 of an inch-ish, much thicker than what this was. This is totally flattened out. Set this aside again, see what happens. I have the hot glue test that I did on the glass. I'm gonna leave the shiny side, and I'm gonna paint up the non-shiny side. I have some acrylic paint. I'm gonna go in with some green and some blue. I could have gone in with some scissors and messed around with the shaping, but I'm happy with this organic flow that I got going on, so I'm gonna leave it. This is the underside, so whatever I just did there will hopefully translate to some color murkiness on the other side. I'll let it dry and see what happens. Alright, I'm gonna take this thing apart, see what we got here. And it's tearing and sticking to... Ew, it's like not even cured. You know what? This one's wet too. Alright, so... the silicone, at least this brand of silicone, is a complete bust. It is not actual silicone. It's not functioning like silicone. And you know what? Even with this color, it's still flattened out. This is the result of the hot glue. I don't mind the hot glue. I'm okay with the haziness of this frosted kind of thing that's going on. I don't need it to be crystal clear for my purposes. If you're looking for absolute crystal clear and you want to avoid resin, I would recommend going with glass if you have the ability to cut glass, or get yourself some plexi. Plexi works really well. In this case, I kind of wish I hadn't pumped the silicone in there. It would have been better just throwing on this plexi. But I think for my purposes, after having done all of these tests, I'm gonna go with the hot glue method. And then this way I can make whatever size lake I want, lake, pond, whichever. I want to put a water feature on both the plots. Alright y'all, I'm gonna leave it here for this water experiment. Found a happy solution for my own model purposes, and a couple disasters here, but some that are kind of mixed bag results. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and stick around to see how I put these water features into my vision board.